Well, with just 5 weeks to go to Election Day, a new poll conducted for the Times of Israel today shows a 4-seat advantage for the Zionist Union over the ruling Likud party. The merger, headed by Isaac Herzog and Tzipi Livni, garnered 27 seats, while Prime Minister Netanyahu's faction received just 23. The United Arab List had 11, as did Habayit Yehudi and Yesh Atid. Moshe Kachlon's Kulanu party followed with 10, while Israel Beitenu and United Torah Judaism each had 7. Next came Shas with 5. Then both Eli Yishai's Yahad Ha'am Itanu and Meretz had 4. The survey reflected that 24% of voters are still undecided, but that an increasing majority of them say that they will not be choosing Likud. Even if these numbers and trends remain on track, however, the Zionist Union may still have a hard time cobbling together a coalition of 61 or more seats following the March 17th Knesset election. Joining me now from our Tel Aviv studio is Times of Israel Pollster Stephan Miller from 202 Strategies. Thanks for joining us, Stephan.
Thank you for having me.
Now, according to your poll, the Zionist Union has 27 mandates, while Likud has only 23. We're a little more than a month away from the elections. Do you expect that this gap will further increase, or it's going to shrink?
The gap should actually shrink, and I'll tell you why. First of all, a lot of these undecided voters have turned on Netanyahu. But what could change the nature of this race is that if Herzog becomes perceived as the leader of the center-left and as a serious, credible candidate to Netanyahu, as I think he has established himself, this could cause fear among the right that would see support from parties like Israel Beitenu, Kulanu, and Naftali Bennett vote for Likud. And that's what I'm hearing from a lot of the campaigns. But our numbers suggest that many of these center-right, and even some right-wing voters have soured on Netanyahu. That his numbers have gone down, and that these undecideds are undecided because they've yet to determine that they'll be voting for Herzog, which is why when we break them down, we give him 27 seats.
Well, now, based on these numbers, do you think that Herzog could have trouble forming a government?
You know, it's the fascinating part about Israeli politics in that Election Day on March 17th is just the beginning of the real election, and that's who can get to 61 seats. I have a lot of sources inside the different campaigns, the different parties, and I do believe that many of these parties, despite how they appear ideologically, are very excited to sit in the government and not outside of the government. And so when the negotiation gets down to ministries and budgets and committee chairmanships, it's anyone's game. Certainly you want the best position, the best poker hand going into that negotiation, which is the highest result that you can as a party achieve on March 17th.
Which parties at this point do you assess as having the best potential for growth over the next 5 weeks?
Well, certainly we're looking at the center and potentially the center-right as the areas of growth. So again, the Zionist Union, I believe, has the opportunity for growth. On the timesofisrael.com, we're going to go a little bit deeper into the numbers on Herzog tomorrow, and I invite your viewers to take a look. But he is still, and about 1 out of 5 voters, they still don't know who he is, have an opinion of him. And so we predict, based on the analysis of the data, that as he becomes more and more aware, he'll get to those 27 seats. If he fails to do that, if he fails to communicate to the voters, and certainly on those economic issues, then we could see a rise in parties in the center or center-right, such as Yesh Atid, led Yair Lapid, or Kulanu, led by Moshe Kachlon.
Well, it should be an interesting little more than a month. Stephan Miller from 202 Strategies, thanks so much for sharing your insight with us today, and we hope you'll join us again soon.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. In other news, the conflict